Hello and welcome to the last video in our Qualtrics tutorial series. In this video we will be previewing, publishing, and distributing your questionnaires. So we've already added all of our questions. We've got our blocks set up correctly. We've got our skip logics. We've got our forced validations or forced responses, all that fun stuff. So now we have all of our questions in here and we want to see what is it going to look like when our participants go and take our survey. So let's click on preview up here in the top right hand corner, and that gives us a display of a mobile device and also a display of what it looks like on a large tablet or a laptop. And so our laptop view is over here on the left hand side, and what we'll see here is how our blocks work. So we notice we've got this question up here. That's the one that we have to delete before we publish our surveys. And so then we have our informed consent, and that's all we want on our first screen is just the informed consent. We want them to consent and begin the study. If they do not consent, we want it to go to the end of the survey. So let's test it. I do not consent. I do not wish to participate. If I click on that, it should take me to the end, but since I'm in preview mode, maybe that's why it's not working. So let's go back and check up here. All right, I do not consent. It should go to end of survey. So let's go down here. Let's look at our survey termination options and default end of survey message, or you can say custom end of survey message, any of that fun stuff. I usually just leave it on default and click save. And let's go back to our preview. And so we should here, when it says I do not consent, I do not wish to participate, it should take us to the end. If I click on I consent, it should take us to the next, but since I think we're in preview mode, it just shows us what it looks like and doesn't actually function. All right. So we confirm that everything on this first page is what we want them to see on the screen. We look at the over here on the right hand side, we go look at the flow, make sure there's nothing that is, a text hanging off the edges that doesn't look right, any of that kind of stuff. We're proofreading it, looking for spelling errors, any of that stuff. And then we just click our little next arrow down here and it takes us to our next screen. And we can just preview this and make sure that all of our answer choices look correct. And ideally you would have somebody who didn't enter the questions to come back and read these. It's also one of the reasons why we test it and we send it out to friends and family, other people to look at it and see if there's anything that we missed, because a lot of times, when we're proofreading things, we'll miss it because we've seen it so often. All right, so we look through here. Everything looks good. Since we don't have any more blocks, it's just going to leave it here on this one screen. If I click next, it does work to show me that our force options do work. So I have to have an answer here for each of my questions. Then I can click next. And then this is the screen that it should skip you to if you click I do not consent. So it just says response has been recorded. All that fun stuff. All right, so everything looks good. We're going to assume everything looks good, that everything works right. And so we don't have to make any changes back here in our survey. But if there is something wrong, we want to come back and check it. We also want to make sure that our codes one more time. We'll click on that little gear and we'll look at scoring and just make sure that our zeros, ones, all that stuff is the same. This could be why our answers didn't skip automatically, because we had no scoring in there. Remember, this is a quantitative study, so everything has to have a code. And so here our codes would be 1 equals I consent, begin the study, 2 equals I do not consent. So maybe that could be our reason why it didn't work right. So let's just click back to editor. Let's preview it one more time and see if that changes anything. Do not consent, hit next. That was the fix. So I had to have some scoring options in there. So we can click restart survey. We'll click I consent, hit our next button, and takes us right into the survey the way it's supposed to be. I click next. All right, I didn't get a chance to answer that, so let's restart survey, check one more thing. All right, remember we have a forced response on these two questions. If I don't click anything, what happens if I check here? All right, cool. It lights up. Please answer this question. So everything is working. Looks good. So let's go ahead and exit out of that. Go back to our survey here. Everything's good. Everything works. No problems. Let's click publish. And here it's going to pop up with our expert review. So our expert review says our survey strength is great. They have no recommendations, but if you have one that pops up in the yellow or the red, you're going to need to look at your view recommendations, and it's going to see that, okay, display logic is valid, mobile optimized, predicted duration. So here's an idea of where you can get an idea of how long it's going to take based off the number of questions. So average 10 seconds to type it in, all that. Okay. So it should give you something on here. Translations you don't have to worry about. Question text clear, concise. Okay, everything looks good there. So no recommendations. We'll click X. If there are recommendations, do your best to try to fix them. So all that's done. So I click publish and then publish again after I fix any recommendations. So survey's been successfully published and activated. You can distribute it using the anonymous link below. So you can click in here, oops, highlight it, copy it, and then that will be the link that you can send out in an email. But you can also go over here to distributions up in the top, and we can have anonymous link. We can do emails, social media, offline app, QR codes, all kinds of options over here. So if you click on an anonymous link, it's going to give you that link again. If for some reason you want to customize your link because it looks funny or something, you can customize it, but I would just leave it as the anonymous survey link is. Emails, you can compose an email in here, and you can talk about put in participant's name or your name. You can select your contacts. You can look at you can put, different people's email addresses in there, put in a subject. You can set it up here to send now, send in an hour, whatever kind of thing. Put in a link in here. It's already got the link. You can copy and paste. So all that stuff's already there. Fill in your message saying, hey, please help us by answering the survey, and send that out to your contact lists. So there's all of that stuff. Now cancel to get out of that. You can also have social media links. So you can tweet it. You can put it on Facebook. You can Reddit it, LinkedIn, Pinterest, offline app. All right, you're not going to use that because we don't have options to it, and also you're not going to be standing in the quad collecting information, but you might want to use a QR code that you can paste out to your social media that's not listed on one of those other links for social media. And so these are all ways that you can get your survey published and get it out there and start collecting data. All right, so that is it for and then when you're done collecting data, you're going to want to come in here and click pause response collection. And so then when you pause it, you're going to close all active survey sessions and record them as partial data. Or you can say allow all active survey sessions to be finished. You don't want to do that because if they haven't finished it, then they're not going to finish it. They're just sitting out there doing nothing. So that way you can make sure you're not collecting any additional data after your collection period has ended. All right, the data and analysis and the reports part, those will be in a follow-up video when we start talking about the analysis portion and how to get your data from Qualtrics and into SPSS. All right, so that's it for now. I hope that this covers all your questions that you may have about how to set up Qualtrics, how to create questions, how to preview, how to publish, and how to distribute. All right, so I've enjoyed putting this together for you, and I will talk to you soon. Till next time, I'm Dr. Dust, and see you later.